Let's go ahead and add the hold functionality to the tap button. Okay, I'm going to stop the simulator and hide the console. And let's go ahead and open back up the sidebar. And I'm just going to hide the code for a moment. Okay, so we can go to the object library here, and there's an object here called long press gesture recognizer. And that's going to allow us to tap a button and hold it and then detect when it's being held. To use it, we just simply drag it and drop it on the object we want. In this case, it's this tap button here. So I'm going to drag it onto the tap button, and you'll notice it appear up here. And so let's go ahead and open back up the split view. Go to add that sidebar. Okay. So now, in order to use it, we need to connect it to the code. And we're going to just scroll down a little bit. And we're going to connect this under our interactions section. So I'm going to click on this long press gesture recognizer, right click and drag it over here. Change the connection type to an action and the type to a long press gesture, and give it a name of long press tap button. Alright, and for now, we're going to copy the code inside the tap counter and just go ahead and paste it into our long press gesture. Let's go ahead and save it and hit Command R to run. Alright, let's test it out. So I can tap here, I can tap and hold, and you notice it count up. But you notice it takes like a second before it detects that I'm holding there. So let's go ahead and fix that. I'm going to stop the simulator, hide the console. Open up this sidebar here. So if I click on this long press gesture, you'll notice that the settings for it here, so it's taking half a second before it detects that I've holding on the button. I'm going to reduce it down to 0.1. Let's do 0.2 actually. And let's double click in here and add or hold. Okay, so let's go ahead and click on this label here and just go ahead and center the alignment there. Okay. And let me hide this sidebar here. Okay, so we know the code works. However, you'll see that it's a duplicate of the code up here, and that's not really good practice in code. And a better way to write this is to use a function to do so. So I'm going to show you how that works by making a new section down here called functions. And we're going to give it a name of increase, type the word func for function. And we're going to give the function name increase count. And so this is the basic skeleton of an empty function. And we're going to copy the code here, the counter code, paste that inside. And so instead of using this code, we can just type the function name increase count. And then I can go up here to the tap counter and type increase count. And so whenever we tap on this tap or hold button, it's going to run this function increase count, which is right here. And same thing with here as well, long press gesture. And so it's more readable as well. I know that if I tap the counter, it's going to increase the count. If I long press the tap button, it's going to increase the count. So that's the advantage of using a function. And I can also make quick changes. Like let's say I want to change the count to increase by 10. I can change that number here, like that. And it will change for both the long press gesture and the tap counter. So let's go ahead and test that out. I'm going to save it and hit Command R to run. Alright, so I'm going to tap here. You'll notice that it increases by 10 each time. You can tap and hold, it also increases by 10 each time. So that's the advantage of using functions. I'm going to reset that. Okay, so if we jump back to the completed project, we'll notice that the navigation bar does not have a gray background or the divider line. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to stop the simulator, hide the console, and the thing that's controlling the navigation bar is our navigation controller. So we're going to have to access that object. And to do so, I'm going to go into the view did load section here. So after the view loads, we're going to say self, meaning this object. We're going to type the dot to access this property. So we want to access the navigation controller. So that's going to access this object's navigation controller, which is this object here. And type dot dot navigation bar. Okay. So if I click on this navigation controller here, you'll notice that there's a navigation bar object right here. So that's the actual object we're accessing when we type the code in the view controller, the view did load here. So that gives us access to this bar. And now we want to say dot background image. Let's see. Dot set background image. We want to set the background image. So here it's telling you that it accepts a UI image here for this parameter. So we're going to give it a UI image like that. And since there's nothing in it, this is a blank UI image. That's what that means. Hit tab and hit enter, and then type dot. And we're just going to choose the default bar metrics. And this part is rather advanced, and it's okay if you don't get this part. You'll understand it more when we use it more often. So that's going to change the background color from gray to white. And now we need to get rid of this divider line as well. To do so, we need to also say self.navigation controller.navigation bar and access its shadow image is what it's called. And let me just type it again, shadow image. You'll notice here that it says UI image, meaning it accepts a UI image object. So shadow image, set it equal to a blank UI image like that. And that should do the trick. Let's save it and hit Command R to run. Alright, so that did the trick. That got rid of the background here and the line. I can tap to count up, tap and hold, and reset, rotate my device, and it still works. And it's also centered as well. And let me go back here to fix, let me stop the simulator and hide the console. I'm just going to change the count back to increase by 1. And finally, I'll just go ahead and explain a little bit about this jump bar. So now that we have a lot of code typed out, we can click in the jump bar here. And you'll notice that there's our code is organized into sections. I can look under interactions to see I have 3 different types of interactions here. A tap counter, reset button, and long press. These are all my functions, properties, and outlets here. So that's the advantage of using Pragma Mark like that. Alright, this concludes the tap counter project.